Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Cameron Parker Show podcast, or should I say, ladies and gentlemen, a predominantly orange podcast. Is Graham Tiedtke of the predominantly orange crew and Ty Walden, the one of the two editors of predominantly orange, joins the broadcast. Guys, how are you doing on this? Should I say Friday evening and the first day of March? We are getting ever so close to free agency, but how are you guys doing?
Wonderful. It's gonna be a busy time, but it's gonna be a fun time. So free agency and the draft is coming up. So yeah, that's gonna be great.
What about you, Ty? How you doing? Yeah, you're down there on the East Coast. You're worth about $330 million. Oh wait, that's Bryce Harper. I'm sorry. Okay. How you doing, Ty?
Well, it snowed here on the first day of March, so not quite
Seriously?
that. Yeah, we had snow late last night and then into this morning, so definitely not fun. But hey, I finished my third term of school, so I could care less about the snow. I'm feeling pretty great right now.
I actually remember when I was living on the East Coast, everybody would freak out when the snow was on the ground, and and what I mean by that is like if there was like even 4 inches on the ground, there was a good possibility that they would close school for a week. I mean,
Wow.
that was me living in Virginia. Now, and contrast that to coming, say, to Colorado. I mean, if there's like say 8 to 12 inches, it's really just you got to suck it up and get to school. Then you get to college, and then the professors are using a little bit of their brain, and so then they just say, the campus they won't close the campus, but I mean, as far as say, the teachers, they might actually email you and say, hey, be smart, don't come to school, just don't even risk it. I mean, it's kind of interesting how that works. But so snow on the East Coast, I remember those days. But um, so yeah, we got free agency in a day and say third. Well, I should say 12 days before the opening of free agency. And as we all know, the NFL Combine is one of those where it's like one big, massive, like winter meetings. And Ty, you know this, following some baseball. The NFL Combine is truly one of the largest scales to where you have the general manager meetings. I think that happened a little bit prior to this. And then you have the NFL Combine where just a whole bunch of news, whether it's draft, whether it's NFL free agency, everything is to the forefront. And we got a lot of question marks, guys, on the Denver Broncos. But before we go into free agency, to kind of throw a little bit of a curveball, I mean, I want to, because this is the first time I've actually talking with you guys really ever since the change. And what do I mean by that? The change of head coach, the change of quarterback, really, even though he's still on the roster. But when you guys heard the initial reaction to the switch, should I say, the switch to Mike Munchak and Vic Fangio, we'll get to Mike Munchak in a little bit because of the fact that he came to the Denver Broncos in just a separate hire as part of that staff. But what was your guys' initial reaction to when Vic Fangio was hired as the Denver Broncos head coach? And was it a reflection on the previous staff?
I know I was excited because of what Vic Fangio did with the Chicago Bears defense last year. The defense got 50 sacks and I think the number was 27 interceptions, something like that. And that I think will be a big impact for the Denver Broncos in 2019.
What about you, Ty?
Oh man, I think I was kind of like on the fence at first, only because hear me out why I was on the fence at first, because we had just fired a coach that was defensive minded or was supposed to be defensive minded. And then we just go ahead and hire another defensive minded coach, which I feel like we're fine defensively. So I feel like we need an offensive mindset. So someone like a Zach Taylor probably would have worked a lot better. But I mean, for maybe 30 seconds, 2 minutes, I was like, why can't we just like go for an offensive mindset? Like our defense is fine the way it is. And I talked to my friend about that. But then, like as Graham said, I was looking at like Vic Fangio's stats. Actually, I looked at his stats during their wild card game against the Eagles, and I was like, all right, I could possibly like if we can't get an offensive mind and we have to go defense, Vic Fangio would be my first choice. So I'm kind of after that 2 minute mindset, I was like, okay, I think I can get behind it as long as like we get a good offensive coordinator, we get like good pieces on the offensive side. So I was a bit shocked at first, but like once I really started looking into it, I was like, okay, I guess I can get behind this as long as like we can find some way to fix this offense, because I think Fangio is gonna definitely make our defense, and I'm not sure I can say this, I'm gonna say a heck of a lot better than it has been since Wade Phillips was controlling the defense.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors when you think about just the overall hire of Vic Fangio. And the fact is that I thought that is so spectacular about all of this, in the whole process, is the fact that if you go down and you look at all the head coaching candidates, the 5 head coaching candidates that John Elway put forth and brought into the fold, he did his homework. And I think that was the most impressive aspect of all of this. Whether, and like I said, we'll talk about the Mike Munchak thing, in a little bit, just because that's the cherry on top of all of it. But for John Elway to go through and handpick some of these candidates, or maybe even all of these candidates, when you go down and you have, say, Chuck Pagano, and then you have Mike Munchak, and then you have Brian Flores, and then you have Zach Taylor. Well, the impressive part about all of this is that 2 of these prospective candidates are now NFL head coaching, or they are now part of an NFL head coaching job tree. So, I mean, Zach Taylor was hired by the Cincinnati Bengals, and Brian Flores was hired by the Miami Dolphins. So the fact is that really John Elway did his homework. And then, as I alluded to, you think about this whole idea that Mike Munchak was originally the favorite and that he was the guy really at one point in time, until the point when they brought in Vic Fangio and the idea that they were going to interview Vic Fangio. There's that point where, okay, well, how's this whole staff going to formate? Well, now, we were starting to hear the buzz of Mike Munchak coming in and him potentially being an offensive line coach, and then it came to fruition. And then I started just thinking and I will say it for as long as I can. No matter the move that they make, either in free agency or in the draft, I mean, there will be a lot of, say, potential draft splashes or maybe free agent splashes, but there will not be a move, in my opinion, as underrated and or as big as bringing on Mike Munchak as the offensive line coach, just for the simple fact that you just rarely see a guy come to a job, and that particular job where that particular coach stole your job.
I totally agree.
Very true, very true.
I mean, how do you guys feel about that? Because, I mean, what was your guys' initial reaction when, I mean, and what's funny, guys, if you guys are listening to the show, was if I'm not mistaken, Graham, you actually I think you just threw it out there just as like a passing comment. in our chat room that said, "Hey, well, what about Mike Munchak as offensive line coach?" And I think that everybody, myself included, just sort of was just like, "Eh, it rarely happens." But I mean, hey, I would be on board with it, but we really didn't think much of it. But it was just one of those like, "Hey, well, what about Mike Munchak as offensive line coach?" And then, sure enough,
Right.
like 3 or 4 weeks ago, or 3 weeks later, or a few weeks after that, he was the offensive line coach. So, like Fangio, what was your guys' reaction when you saw that happen? Because Ty, you alluded to it. You said, or talked about it. You said that you were going to wait until the staff got formulated and have an offensive mind, and then.
Yeah. So with Mike Munchak, like when they interviewed him, I was like, okay, like his like head coaching record wasn't like spectacular, but like he was experienced and he's an NFL veteran. I feel like he could have really helped the offensive line if he was coach in one way or another. So I was like, okay, if we hire him as head coach, like that's fine. But then when we hired Fangio, I was like, oh well, there goes that one. And then when I heard like what was it, like a week and a half later that they were gonna interview him or like hire Munchak as our offensive lines coach, I was like, I did a double take and I did like a triple take and I was like, our offensive line's gonna get a lot better now.
Yeah.
This is gonna be insane. I'm actually looking forward to this. Hopefully he can help Garrett Bowles with his holding penalties because that has been an issue. Actually, that's pretty much an issue with the entire offensive line has been holding. Like we have, I think I mentioned it I wrote an article today that that the offensive line just cannot seem to stop holding at the worst possible times. We'll see, like, let's say we have Philip Lindsay break like a 70-yard touchdown run, which hasn't happened, but it gets called back because Garrett Bowles is called for holding, and everyone in Broncos country is going to go, I like plenty of explicits were going to be thrown at that point. So I think Munchak coaching the offensive line is going to be a huge boost to our offensive line, especially if we can correct some of those like one or two areas that need to be improved upon. Of course, it could be three depending on what happens with Matt Paradis, which I'm pretty sure we're going to get into that a little bit later. So we will see how this goes, but I'm actually really glad that Mike Munchak is going to be our offensive line coach.
Graham, Graham, you're the one who, like I said, you're the one that sort of tossed it as like a passing comment. But
Right.
I mean, what take me through what made you at first think about that, and then what was your reaction when it happened?
What can I say? I can predict the future.
Well, then what are you doing here? You should be part of X-Men.
Predict my future, Graham. Jeez.
What's that?
Predict my future. My goodness.
Yeah, so I mean, to have Mike Munchak be on board after being passed over as head coach, that was somewhat surprising.
Yeah.
But I think like that what sorry. I think one thing I find interesting is switching gears a little bit to Vic Fangio. I wonder how much of an impact Fangio is going to have on this defense. Like, that's what I'm more interested in, honestly.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I think that the A+ nature, as we're getting into free agency a little bit on that, is the fact that you have, and I'll pull it up here, you have now two coaches that are going to be, and again, we cannot predict the future, even though Graham did. We cannot predict the future of where NFL free agents will go. I mean, we can speculate and do our own prediction of where players will go, but we can't actually predict of where teams will go or sorry, where players will go. But the one thing that is A plus, and I mean A plus, is the fact that they have two guys that are at the premier position group, should I say, as far as being a defensive minded head coach or a defensive minded coach and an offensive line coach, to where there will be free agents of all things. And if there's one team that is in dire need of offensive line help, it's been the Denver Broncos. And there's been a few bad offensive lines in the National Football League, but we've seen firsthand just how bad it's been. And if there's one in a few places as far as having free agents be attracted to, you don't have to look no further than just the hires itself of Vic Fangio and Mike Munchak. And as I pull it up here, this was actually by Brett Coleman, and this was strictly his opinion, but he said Vic Fangio is the greatest linebacker coach of all time, and it's not even close. He has, he said the total Pro Bowl appearances by his players, and my guess is this isn't counting linebackers, but total Pro Bowl appearances by his players is 36. Total first team All Pro awards is 23. And as far as likely Hall of Famers on his resume, Mills, Jackson, Green, Lewis, Suggs, Willis, and Mack. And oh, by the way, Miller and maybe even Bradley Chubb. I mean, it's crazy. So I mean, then you start factoring in, and now that was just linebackers, but I mean, he is a defensive minded player, or sorry, defensive minded coach. So there will be that large attraction of free agents, no matter the position, that we'll see Vic Fangio see the job that he did with Chicago the last few years and might actually contemplate coming to Denver. Same thing for Munchak.
Yep.
You always hear about players being put in the right positions. This might be the opposite.
What do you mean?
Vic Fangio being put in a great position with the great defensive players in Denver.
Yeah.
But I mean, you really can't have one without the other. So the Chicago Bears had some great players regardless. But there's obviously some great players on Denver's defense now too, so.
Yeah, and as we all know, offense was the weakest link.
Right.
And that's why there's that all traction. And as far as Mike Munchak having the ability to bring in these free agents on the offensive line. And so that's why let's start there. So let's just start there. On the offensive line, as you guys go through and you guys look at the free agent list on the offensive line, and in particular, let's start first with the news this past week. It came out that the Broncos have expressed interest in Billy Turner and Jared Veldheer, having them be brought back. My estimation, my guess, is as much as Jared Veldheer was pretty darn good for the age that he was and being relatively healthy for the most part. My guess is they want to let him test free agency a little bit because they want to see what the draft is going to be like, because they know how talented that particular class is going to be. That said, I think there's a stronger likelihood that Billy Turner returns because of his strict versatility. But any thoughts on that before we go and just dive into the free agent market?
I mean, I like to say I totally agree with that. Like, I think Valdir has missed plenty of time during his career, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it would be a good idea for them to explore different options there.
But is that option bringing back Billy Turner for depth? What about you, Ty?
I would agree, like, with what you said about Jared Veld here, that I would be okay with him coming back, but like maybe let him test free agency a little bit because like I watched a little bit of the combine today, and there are some right tackles that Denver could definitely keep an eye on when it comes to drafting. That depends on if they want to go. Now, if they want to get like a big time right tackle, there are quite a few that they could go in the first round. Um, Cody Ford is one of them from Oklahoma, and no, that's not because I'm not an Oklahoma fan. He's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, he's a first round caliber tackle for a reason.
Yeah, and there was another one. I'm gonna try my best to pronounce his name. JaJuan Taylor from Florida. Sayer and I have talked about him a little bit today. He's a guy that could potentially fall to Denver with the 10th pick. And just watching his combine today, he was just phenomenal. And like if they decide not to go with Beld here, Taylor could definitely fall to them, and they could pick him up. And he's definitely a starter caliber right now, right tackle that definitely could protect whoever is quarterbacking, which I guess at this point would be Joe Flacco, which of course I'm sorry that we'll talk about. But Javon Taylor would definitely be a good option. There are quite a few good options in the draft for right tackle, especially like even if we don't go first round, there are definitely some good options in the second, day 2, day 3. So it just really depends on what they want to do. And as far as Billy Turner goes, I would like to see him back because, again, of his versatility. I would be really disappointed. Yeah, actually, I wouldn't say I'd be disappointed. But I'll touch on that in a little bit. I'm talking about the center position. But I would like to see Billy Turner back. Veld here. If they can find a deal that'll bring him back, that's fine. If not, there's definitely plenty of options in the draft that Denver can go with.
But so here's the problem, and we all know with Elway. He's not exactly. I mean, we saw it with the Joe Flacco trade. He's not one to sit on his hands and wait till the draft, pretty much. And when he does, we pretty much know the pick. I mean, he did that once, and actually he did it twice, really, for that matter, with the Paxton Lynch pick and then with the Garrett Bowles pick. I mean, we knew going into the draft on both of those theoretically that Paxton Lynch was the number one guy that Elway had interest in, and when you saw basically that the tackle position wasn't really fortified the year that Garrett Bowles got drafted, it seemed like a pretty foregone conclusion that Garrett Bowles was going to be taken with that pick in that particular draft. That said, like I said, John Elway is not really one to just sit on his hands and just let those needs put itself out there and into the draft, unless it's some guy that they have really high expectations for, and just a high attention to him potentially playing right away. So with that, I honestly do not expect the Denver Broncos to address the offensive line until say day 2, day 3. What do I mean by that? I mean that the Denver Broncos, I have a feeling will spend a pretty penny in free agency to go get themselves a right tackle.
I can see that.
Yeah. I heard that little Graham.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up a list of right tackle free agents.
I got one. I got one, and um,
Hit me.
and um, he was actually one of them that was, to be honest, linked to the Denver Broncos
I
last
know who
year.
it is. I bet I know who it
Um,
is.
the tackle that is 27 years old. He went here. He is from the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
JaJuan uh,
JaJuan James.
JaJuan James.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have sources. You don't have to have links per se. But when you think and you look at the staff that's now been formulated, you do include the Mike Munchak recruiting piece. And also you include the fact that Chris Cooper was brought
Oh,
on
right.
as the
Yep.
assistant offensive line coach. And he was at that exact same position with the Miami Dolphins. So you don't really now. I'm not saying I'm going to predict the future and say that JaJuan James is going to come to Denver, but what I'm saying is that I look at this and I see JaJuan James on this list. I see Marshall Newhouse,
Adrian Waddle.
Adrian Waddle. I mean Austin Howard. Some decent options, should I say? But there really isn't a guy, should I say, that's just a true fit like JaJuan James, really. Is that you guys want to talk about that a little bit? I just think that the connections and overall, because there's a lot I talked about there. I mean, because I just don't see Elway just sitting on his hands and it really doesn't matter what position. I don't see him sitting on his hands and just saying, okay, we're going to go into the draft with this huge hole in this roster spot, and we're going to dress it into free agency no matter the round.
I think what John Elway normally does is that he tries to fill as much holes as he can during free agency. I mean, I know last year he wasn't like as aggressive, but like we definitely saw like in years past how aggressive he was at like, let's say we're going to use 2014 offseason as a perfect example. Denver just lost Super Bowl in the most pain-wrenching way I could ever see. Oh my goodness, that was painful. But more on that, he realized that offense wins you games, but defense wins you championships. So he went out. He got TJ Ward. He got Aqib Talib. He got DeMarcus Ware. He got three big members of that Super Bowl 50 team. Yes, it took a year for it to like really all come back together, but he definitely likes to fill holes in during free agency. And I think with Vic Fangio, they're going to be able to lure in some of that defensive talent in a little bit. And who knows, we could see the Denver Broncos 2019 defense possibly leading the way to at least a playoff appearance. So yeah, John Elway's definitely not going to be sitting on his hands. I think he's going to do something. I'm going to predict at least one big free agency, maybe not blockbuster, but a huge signee that's going to really help the Denver Broncos this year.
Graham?
Maybe even a trade.
Oh yeah, it could very well be a trade.
I mean, you don't, and I guess that just sort of brings it to Flacco in full circle, because I just don't think you make that move for Flacco for a lot of reasons, to show just how aggressive you really were for a quarterback, and
Not help him out.
and really what I mean is be that aggressive for something or for a player, and in particular a quarterback, and just stop. I mean, unless he was just your guy from the very beginning. But I just don't see that happening. I just don't see that happening. Not here and not now. And I mean, if they go out and they just go out like gangbusters and really have it end up being this signing period that doesn't like Ty, you said, doesn't really parallel 2014, but it sort of feels like that just because of everything that transpired in 2018 and 2017 and really 2016 for that matter. You do not lose. You do not lose and not go to the playoffs in 3 straight seasons and not have 2 losing seasons, back-to-back losing seasons, and sit on your hands and expect that you will be revamped because of Joe Flacco. I like the Joe Flacco trade. I think he's going to be a lot better here than a lot of people really realize. That said, there's still some needed places and holes and everything that can be addressed on the roster. So, I mean, and I know that, say, the safety position is underrated, it's underappreciated, but that's not going to stop the Broncos, I don't think, from going out and getting a safety like, say, a Landon Collins or, say, like going after an Adrian Amos from the Chicago Bears who has familiarity with Vic Fangio. Or even doing one or the other and going out and getting a Bryce Callahan, the cornerback from Chicago, or say we go out and spend big and go out and get a Ronald Darby. I mean, the fact is I just don't see how. I don't see how Elway can just sit back after what he just did and acquiring Flacco the way he did, basically winning against everybody else. I mean, he beat out the Washington Redskins, who, in all honesty, they were probably more desperate for a quarterback than the Denver Broncos were. I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, they lost Alex Smith. They relied on Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy was out for the season. I mean, there might not have been a more whole, needy quarterback team than the Washington Redskins, and John Elway beat them to the punch for Joe Flacco. I know I brought up a lot there, but what's your guys' thoughts on what I just talked about?
I'll let Ty go if he has something
ahead,
to say.
You go ahead, Graham.
No, it's all right.
No, you go first. You go first.
Yeah, you go first. I'm not sure. It's just really like, I think my biggest thing with all that regard is, I mean, even like with the whole Joe Flacco thing, everyone was like so mad about it because, oh, like we have this 35-year-old quarterback who is just maybe slightly better, or they say is even worse than Case Keenum. But like, you gotta look at it from the bigger picture. I mean, when I saw the whole, like, now, see, here's the thing, though, is that there's still 12 more days until free agency. So anything can happen between now and
it's a good point.
March 13th. I'm pretty sure in the past that trades that were agreed to in principle, and I put that in air quotes, might have fallen through because of something that happens, that there's that snag that happened. So we might not even see, like, we won't know officially until March 13th that Joe Flacco will be a Bronco. I mean, all signs are pointing that it's going to happen, and everyone's not really happy about it, but you gotta look at it from all perspectives. Joe Flacco did not have the best year. He was hurt, and then offensive line didn't really help him all that much. I'm thinking what is going to happen. I'm not sure what they're going to, and that's the thing. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Case Keenum. I know they're talked about, like, maybe they'll restructure the deal. They're trying to find a trade partner for him. there's just so much that can go on with this.
Can I be honest? Can I be honest on that case? I don't see how he stays. I mean, even if he restructured, I mean, he will have to. He signed an $18 million deal, so he will have to still do a pretty extensive restructure to stay here.
Oh yeah,
and I don't, whether it was bad performance or not. Anytime you ask a player to take a pay cut, a significant pay cut, it's a recipe for disaster. Just because they're saying that theoretically we don't want you on the team anymore. And I just don't. And Graham, you can talk about this too, but I just don't see how Case Keenum is on the roster personally. I mean, I know that's been talked about, him honestly restructuring, and I just don't see it personally. And not with the circus too that it would be.
So
no, go ahead, Graham. Go ahead, Graham.
The likelihood of Case Keenum being on the roster would definitely be lower if and probably when the Broncos select one in this draft. I don't think they're gonna keep 3.
3 meaning
quarterbacks.
They might,
but yeah, I just don't know.
I mean, I am under the impression that, I mean, we heard the reports. You don't spend so much amount of time and effort on college systems and college style quarterbacks and them not draft one. I don't care if it's in the first round. I don't care if it's in the second round. I don't care if it's in the third round, fourth round, fifth round, sixth round, seventh round, or even undrafted. I believe that the Denver Broncos will add a quarterback in the NFL draft. They didn't do it this last year, which is, was saying something to Case Keenum in general, and he didn't deliver. So I just personally think that they address it in the NFL draft. I don't know when, I don't know where or how or why, or all those 5 W's and a how. I don't see how they can do it.
But here's my thing. Didn't Peyton Manning take like a significant pay cut during that Super Bowl year because of course he got hurt, but wouldn't you think of that as the same thing as with Case Keenum if he took that significant pay cut? Because
not really. Personally, I mean, not really. Because I mean, we're talking about a guy in Case Keenum. I mean, I do. As far as a personality goes, do I see, say, a guy like a Case Keenum taking a pay cut? I can, just as far
absolutely,
as as far as the personality that he is, how humble he is, and if you guys have been hating on Case Keenum, those of you who have been listening, I'm sorry that you feel that way. And I realized that his play was not up to par of what he had wanted or the team had wanted. But if you want to go look at a player that has handled himself with the utmost class and respectful aspect of being a football player and being part of a business, go look at Case Keenum, look how he acted, and tell me you are not impressed with that particular person. So I do think that there is a there is a possibility that he can do a restructure just because of his personality. That said, if they want to help the team win, they're already planning on restructuring theoretically Joe Flacco's deal. So, I mean, I would almost bet that Joe Flacco's restructure will help the team and everything else. But I mean, any restructure helps. I mean, that's so I don't know, Ty. I just don't see it personally.
Paging Kyla, may I ask? I only say that because she and I have been talking so much about Case Keenum throughout the season, and she says that he's definitely not at fault. Well, I can attest that there have been some points where, yes, we can put that on Keenum, but I would say like this, and to put the entire season for Case Keenum at fault, definitely not.
I mean, I think he was probably, I would still say, up there, but I mean, just to even quantify and just say that he's the sole reason why we're at this point, I think is a little bit of a misunderstatement.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Totally agree. You got to look at the coaching, like the play calling too. There are some awful play calls during this last season.
Oh my gosh! Like I swear, if we had changed maybe one or two things play calling wise, we probably could have gone to playoffs. That's how so mad I was with play calling this year. I just could not stand it.
Tell me how you really feel, Ty.
That's how I really feel. Like Vance Joseph. Oh my! I could not stand his play calling. There were when we finished 6-10, there was definitely 4 of those 10 losses we could have easily won if it wasn't for his play calling.
Kansas
Hey,
City. Yeah.
at least they had great weeks of practice.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a great week of practice, guys. Did that to test anything on the field? No. But did we have a great week of practice? We sure did. And we showed it on the field. Except for the other team had a better practice than we did.
And don't forget how tall. And don't forget that Jake Butt is tall. And don't forget that Brock Osweiler is tall. No, and I think Vance Joseph's a good guy. I think he's a good guy. It's just unfortunate that it didn't work out. And the Broncos did make the right move. Who knows if Vance Joseph made the right move of going to Arizona. But I mean, hey, the Broncos, I just feel, are in much better hands. So then going into free agency now, because this is the really interesting part with free agency. We all kind of agree that the Broncos will be aggressive. How would you guys rank the positional aggressiveness that they will be?
What ranking that using?
That to me is the most, honestly, the rather interesting one, because on the offensive side of the ball, one would argue that the offensive line is the biggest problem. So go get a right tackle, or go get a guard, or replace Matt Paradis if he does walk. But what is your guys' priority in free agency as far as a positional group?
Tight end, Jared Cook.
He's your number one priority.
Oh, number one. Yeah.
That's where I'm honestly really struggling with. Like I kind of figure we'll be aggressive, but as far as me trying to pinpoint where they go, I have a feeling that, I mean, they have a really good defense, but I just have this feeling that they'll be pretty aggressive for either a tackle or either a safety.
They have three.
Or maybe a linebacker.
They have 3 free agent defensive tackles now. Or defensive tackles that are going to be free agents. You know who is available, right?
Domata Peko. I mean, I know that they will, or at least right now, said that they're not going to bring him back.
The Sue.
Oh, a man named Sue?
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna spend big on him. I think isn't he like 32 now? I think he's 32 years old, so
he is, but he also signed just a 1-year deal with the Rams.
right. So
he could do it again.
Absolutely. He doesn't have to sign a huge deal with Denver.
Plus, I just want Sue in Denver. It's just as a biased opinion, just so I can just say that, Sue, demolished Oklahoma and Sam Bradford, and To Ty's, message feed every single time, I see Indomitian Stew and Pratt. No, I'm kidding.
You just
I'd be,
had to bring Oklahoma up, didn't you?
with Sue, I'd be happy if he signed maybe a 2-year deal.
Not a 1-year deal?
I think honestly he like this would just be a prediction. If he did sign with Denver, I think that he would do well enough or maybe he would get an extension after a 1-year deal. That makes a lot of sense too.
Extension with the Rams, what you mean?
No, if he does well with Denver.
Well, you think like maybe an option?
Right.
Yeah, I would like it. I just don't know if they are interested in him just because they have other pressing needs.
Can I throw one name out there?
No.
No.
I'm
no.
Kidding. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Ty.
And it's all gonna depend because I've heard like so many conflicting areas that they weren't gonna. I know they said they weren't gonna exercise Brandon Marshall's the linebackers, not the wide receivers option. But that they were interested in like trying to like do some kind of restructure and maybe like bring him back. But let's just say Brandon Marshall doesn't come back. There's one name out there that Sarah and I have been kind of like pushing for. I think you guys know who this is.
I might know too.
Well, the one I'm thinking of, C.J. Mosley.
Yeah.
I would love to have him on the Broncos.
It'll be so interesting about that, Ty. I mean, I don't know if you remember that draft, but I remember, if I'm not mistaken, that might have been the draft where we took Derek Wolfe.
Yeah, because I think we ended up trading out of the first round completely.
Because we missed on a few players, or maybe it was Bradley Roby. I can't remember. But there was a particular draft where we took a player or traded back when CJ Mosley was there, and we didn't take him, and Broncos country was all up in arms. And
yep.
The only thing that worries me about CJ Mosley is whether or not he wants to stay in Baltimore, and whether Baltimore wants to keep CJ Mosley.
Oh, actually, CJ Mosley was drafted in 2014 by the Ravens, and we actually ended up drafting Bradley Roby in that draft.
So it was the Roby draft, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Linebacker position is just interesting because, again, I cannot point positional aggressiveness. I really can't, because there are so many times where I look at it and they say, okay, well, the right tackle is now vacant again. Let's go out and, let's spend money on this. Well, we now have had a revolving door with linebacker. Let's go out and get a linebacker like CJ Mosley, or I'll throw out another name for you guys. Quan Alexander, the linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that guy is also, I think, a player that I think the Broncos should be interested in. There will probably be some surprising players that get cut out of interesting positions. Tight end, I think, is a really interesting position because the draft is very deep, and at the same time, the Broncos could go into free agency and in the draft. And I think that there's a lot of ways they can go. But, I mean, then you go to the revolving door of tight end, where they were relying on their fourth and fifth starters at a lot of the games in 2018. So do I think that they'll be aggressive in tight end? I think so. I think that's a possibility. But I don't know. It's a cornerback, obviously, being another one, because John Elway came out and said that they want to go out and get a number 2 corner. Well, how much exactly is a number 2 corner? That's even hard to predict. So it's really hard for me to pinpoint the positional aggressiveness and ranking them of where do they go. Personally, I think for me, I would want to get yourself the right tackle and then go get your linebacker and then go get your safety and then go get your tight end and then go get your wide receiver, another tight end, maybe another linebacker, and then draft. And also corner as well.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we're going to address. I think either way, we're going to address line. If we don't address linebacker and free agency, I think that's going to be one of the first priorities of the draft. But I definitely think we're going to try to address tight ends and possibly right tackle. But honestly, with so many of these teams looking at either quarterback or defensive line or offensive tackle, like the two players that I'm really looking at the draft, excuse me, is that, and I think Cody and I can kind of agree to this, is that I think cornerback is going to be the biggest part of this draft because I think we're going to try to address most of the other needs in free agency. And how you just said that John Elway is looking to get that number 2 corner, but is there really a number 2 corner out there in free agency? From what I've seen, not really. So that's why I think that we would address cornerback with that first pick, where I see Greedy Williams or DeAndre Baker, maybe even Byron Murphy. One of those 3 guys, we'll probably draft them in the first round. But that's just my 2 cents. I think we go corner with that 10th overall pick.
What about you, Graham?
Noah Fant.
I knew you were going to say Noah Fant. I knew you were going to say Noah Fant.
You're just saying that just to humor me.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm a big fan of that LSU linebacker. I can't think of his name right now.
Devin White.
Devin White. Yeah. I mean,
what do you like about him? What do you like about him?
I was watching YouTube, video on YouTube of him, and what stood out to me was his knack for finding the football. And I'm looking on a website that has every draft prospect on it, and Devin White's projected 40 time is 4.64. So
that isn't bad. I mean,
no, not bad at all.
No.
I mean, when you're in that 4.5, 4.6 range of linebacker, yeah. And so my whole thing is, I just don't want, and I wrote the article on it yesterday, but I don't want people to forget about Josey Jewell. I really don't want people to forget about him because I think that, and we've seen it in the press conferences with Vic Fangio, he's not one to mince words. He is not one to mince words. And when he comes out and he says, I am confident in Josey Jewell, I think he means it. And I think that, yes, we get it. Josey Jewell is not the most athletic guy in the world, but you don't become a defensive player of the year in the Big Ten by accident. Sure, Devin, what was the guy? Sure,
Devin White.
No, sure, Denzel Ward was taken 4th overall by the Cleveland Browns. But that doesn't mean that Josey Jewell is still a terrible pick or just a terrible player just because of that. I mean, he still won the Defensive Player of the Year award in the Big Ten by no accident. I mean, he's a tackling machine. His instincts is probably his number 1 trait. I mean, theoretically, he fits instinctually what Fangio wants to do, just not athletically. But So, I mean, yes, his athleticism is lacking, but for those instincts, he makes up for that with the lack of athleticism. And so I just don't want people to forget about Josie Jewell. And so, I mean, right now, I would not be surprised if Josie Jewell is a starter in 2019. In my opinion, and yes, it's biased just because I do love Josie Jewell. But I mean, I just really think that Josie Jewell, and just with how smart he is, he's a student of the game. He's an absolute baller. He always thinks one or two steps ahead. I just have this sneaky suspicion that with a great linebacker coach, that he is gonna make Josie Jewell into something that we saw in Iowa.
Is that considered a hot take?
No,
Or not?
actually, my hot take that I've already made as a claim is Justin Simmons is going to make the Pro Bowl next year.
All right.
So that's my first hot take of the 2019 year. But yeah, I mean, I would not be mad, Graham. I would not be mad if they got Devin White. I just don't want fans and just people out there just to be like, okay, and think about all of the linebacker core and all of a sudden just be like, oh, Josie Jewell is still here. Like just as a, like, oh yeah, there's Josie Jewell is here. Like, I don't want people to forget about him. I don't know. I keep going back on it, on what they'll do at 10. And I just have a feeling that if Drew Lock is not there at 10, and not to be that guy, guys, but I just have this feeling that if Drew Lock is not there at 10, or say Devin White, you trade back. And you go get a corner. And if DeAndre Baker's down there at the end of the first round, or maybe like a few picks, later down the road, say like 15, 16, 17, what have you, take him then. But I mean, I just think as far as quarterback goes, again, you don't do the amount of homework that they've done on Drew Lock. And you don't do the amount of homework that they've done on quarterbacks in general. And that if he's there at 10, you don't take him. You just don't do that. So I just have this sneaky suspicion that Drew Lock is still the guy.
What about I was saying, what about Greedy Williams though? What if he's available?
I don't know if I take him, just because of what Vic Fangio talked about the other day, and tackling and tackling technique. Greedy Williams, that's probably one of his worst traits. That's not to say that he can work on it, but DeAndre Baker and Byron Murphy fit more of that bill as far as a true shutdown corner. One of the things that I saw that was more just out of sheer like shock. Do you guys know that since 2016, DeAndre Baker has yet to allow a touchdown?
Wow.
Hey, John Elway, you gonna call DeAndre Baker?
Yeah,
I think if that truly is the case, I would, and it's actually something that I did in a mock draft, is that if there truly is not one player available, because I believe in my mock draft, Drew Lock and Devin White wasn't taken yet, but Drew Lock was definitely taken before the Broncos picked. I think at that point I would have just traded back, and I think DeAndre Baker will be available like in that mid, like between the 15 to 20s. So if we like trade back to there, and if it's what you say, I did see some of his highlights. I do remember them saying that, or at least seeing somewhere like, wait, every time that a player got close to the end zone, DeAndre Baker didn't really allow anything. So like, if you were gonna have like the second coming of Chris Harris Jr., go get DeAndre Baker. So why not just draft back and then go get the guy? If we get DeAndre Baker, I'm gonna be so stoked.
Is that your guy? Then
That's good. That's gonna be my guy for the first round. But only if we don't get. I'm trying to think of his name. See, I already lost it like you did, Graham.
Drew Lock or Devin
Drew
White.
Lock, Devin White. That's who it is. Yeah. If we don't get Devin White or like whatever, if we decide not to go offensive tackle, I'm not 100% sold on Drew Lock, which I'm pretty sure most of you have seen. Where here's my hot take. Boom, Drew Lock is overrated. Like I don't. It's it's not that I don't like Drew Lock. It's just that
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Like I mean, I like Drew Lock, but I know exactly where you're coming from because it's that way with prospects. It's not that we don't like the guy. It's just we just don't see it translating to the next level. So it isn't really the and that's the thing that I like about say draft season or anything in particular because opinions change from person to person and opinions can change from person to person. I mean, look at how quickly, well, I shouldn't say that, how long, but yet how it changed the perception of Paxton Lynch in Broncos country. I mean,
pretty dang fast.
I mean, well, I wouldn't say fast, but they changed.
Two years is fast.
But I mean, it changed rather quickly for that sake. I will say that. So I mean, it can change. Opinions and what have you can change. And Broncos country was all happy that Paxton Lynch was taken, and then, and then obviously just didn't pan out because he didn't put the work in. And you're talking to one of the biggest Paxton Lynch supporters that's not named from the Denver Broncos zone. So I think that. So I mean, I said that Paxton Lynch is going to be better than Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. I mean and I will take that to my grave. It won't be on my tombstone, but it will be on my grave. So that's my comedy hour or my comedy moment of the day. So I just don't know though, Ty. I just feel like with the amount of homework that they've done on a guy, and in particular with Drew Lock, that and I mean as far as recent classes, Ty, and since obviously I know you're an Oklahoma Sooner fan, and I know that Kyler Murray is coming into the draft, I will tell you for the record, and I've actually told Carl this, and I've told Carl Dumler, one of the former writers at Predominantly Orange. Now he's with Mile High Huddle doing some incredible work over there, and also a friend of the program. I told Carl and whatever that, and I will tell you guys this. I have a feeling that Kyler Murray will have a much longer career and higher upside than Drew Lock. So you can take that for what it's worth. So
I'll say this is not me being biased, but I can see that.
Yeah, again, so I like Locke. I think that he can be a pretty good quarterback. I think he can be a top 10 quarterback given the cast around him. But I just think that as far as talent, arm, and the mobility with Kyler Murray, it's just pretty special. I mean, he's literally Russell Wilson on steroids when he has the ball in his hands, how athletic he can be, explosive. Yeah, it's pretty special when he has the ball in his hands. So, and I don't want people to dismiss that. So if you guys are listening and you guys are first-time listeners, congratulations. You've now heard me break the fact that Kyler Murray will have a much better career than Drew Lock. So how do you feel about that, Ty? I just sort of doused my own Drew Lock talk, and I just said, Kyler Murray is going to have a much better career.
Ty Walden approves.
It's worth $330 million.
Okay, can we talk about that? Can we talk about that for a second? Because I found out some very interesting facts about that. It's blown my mind a little bit, actually.
Go ahead.
So,
because baseball's better than football, Graham.
No. No.
Go ahead, Ty. Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay.
I'm logging off.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Ty.
so you're all familiar with, well, at least Cameron, you're familiar with the Bryce Harper deal. 13 years, $330 million.
Who's Bryce Harper?
That's a good question. Who's Bryce Harper? He is the former outfielder of the Washington Nationals, now outfielder of the Philadelphia Phillies. Which, okay, I will give you this. I think someone told me maybe a year. No, I was at a Phillies Marlins game, and everyone was talking such mad, explicit here about Giancarlo Stanton, and oh, they probably shouldn't do that because, for all we know, Giancarlo Stanton could be with the Philadelphia Phillies. Well, of course, he decided to join the Yankees. Yankees, right?
Who? Sure, Stanton? Yeah.
Okay. And then, so, we're thinking about Bryce Harper. I'm like, this guy could actually join the Phillies. I was thinking about this last year. This guy could actually be on the Phillies next year. Especially with that whole drama that happened at the trade deadline last year. So, going back to it, Bryce Harper, 13 years, $330 million. At my local news broadcasting team, it actually brought up an interesting statistic here. And I'm going to read this off my phone because I saw it was the one time I actually ended up watching the news. So for every plate appearance that Bryce Harper makes, he's going to make close to $45,000.
Can he give that paycheck to Chris Harris Jr. so he can sign his extension?
I wish, actually. But here's the crazy part about it. So think on the top of your heads, just come up with a number. What do you think is the annual average household income in my biggest city, Philadelphia?
No, you're not searching it, Graham. You're not searching it.
Do not search that.
I'm kidding. 45 million?
Close.
What was the question? Sorry.
So Bryce Harper is projected to make close to $45,000 for every plate appearance he makes this season. How much do you think the average household income is in the city of Philadelphia, which is close to my town?
Oh, I'm the last person to ask that one.
Just throw a number out there, between 1 and 10. That's what I did.
$1.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Okay, I'll give you this. So Bryce Harper's is set to make close to $45,000 for every plate appearance. The average household income in Philadelphia is about $41,500. So he's going to make more money for every plate appearance than a Philadelphia citizen is going to make in an entire year.
13 years, 330 million. And that's why Major League Baseball contracts are a lot crazier than football contracts. I mean, if you were to rank contracts by sport, it would probably be MLB, NBA, and then NFL. I mean, if you think and you look at the contracts that get handed out to the NBA, I mean, players that are reserves are getting paid maybe 10, 12 million per year. And that's just insane. I mean, for reserves. And then you get, and you look at baseball. I mean, heck, Nolan Arenado got paid 8 years and 260 million. That's 35 million in average annual value. That's more than Bryce Harper.
Yep.
That's just insane.
Although I do want to point out that Bryce Harper's deal does come with like some guarantees or like some kind of incentives that incorporate like what he does during the year. The biggest one to me was if he wins the MVP, he gets $500,000 for every year he wins it. Imagine he wins it for all 13 years he's with the Philadelphia Phillies. That is what, close to $6 million right there, just because he won MVP.
Can we not talk about that? Because Nolan Arenado is going to win NL MVP next year. Man, that's crazy incentives right there. Like, that is just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. But coming back to the Denver Broncos though, we were talking about positional aggressiveness as far as if we were to rank positions and how aggressive the Denver Broncos will be. How and where do you guys think that they'll spend the most aggressive money in free agency? Just in your opinion, where?
Defense. I think defense.
You really think defense? Because I'm wondering that as well, just because of the recruiting pitch of Fangio.
Oh, the recruiting pitch of Fangio is going to make it's going to be a big selling point for most of these defensive players.
Same for Munchak too.
Yeah, it could be defense, and then the next thing you're going to tackle is either right. Depends on what's going to happen with everyone else, but it's definitely they're going to address maybe one or two of the offensive line issues, which could result from center, right guard, or right tackle. So they'll either grab us. Actually, thinking about that, I would say right tackle more than any other of them. But
yeah,
then that's going to be really confusing because if Paradis does end up walking and signing with another team, we have an issue there at center unless Connor McGovern does indeed shift over to that center position.
Which he did okay with. I mean, he did okay.
Yeah, he did okay. I agree with that.
And you just would have to trust Mike Munchak to turn him into a really good center. And I think he has the capability to be a really good center in the NFL. It's just all about the IQ, because that was one of the things that Paradis did so well. And honestly, I have this weird feeling like he's gonna come back, but at the same time, I'm not expecting him to be back, just because you look at Ryan Jensen setting the center market. I believe it was in the off season, or not off season, but but in the what was it? The regular season when he signed that massive deal when he reset the center market. I mean, Matt Paradis is going to reset the center market again, really. And by realistic standards, I just think he's going to. So I don't know if that's enough for the Broncos to say, "Hey, we'll pay you $11 to $12 million." I mean, do I think he deserves it? Honestly, I think he does, just because of how durable he's been. Yes, he sustained the injury, but I mean, if it was me, I would be throwing a lot of money at Matt Paradis just to keep him here. But with the amount of priorities and everything that the Broncos have on their plate, either in-house or free agents, and by in-house, I mean re-signing Chris Harris Jr., maybe re-signing Shelby Harris to an extension, along with getting Matt Paradis signed, maybe retreading back to Domata Peko and bringing him back. There's just a lot of, I think, free agents that were Denver Broncos and and now maybe future Denver Broncos that they can go to. And so if we are talking about Paradis here, I absolutely would be bringing back Matt Paradis, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. I feel like if they can find some kind of deal that'll work out for both of them, he's gonna come back. But I can definitely see the fact that he doesn't come back because he's gonna not that he's gonna require that much because he's gonna reset that market for centers.
Graham.
Yeah.
What you think?
I know we were talking about centers. There's one guy that we haven't mentioned is Elijah Wilkinson. He's also a free agent. I mean, he played. I think didn't he play multiple positions last year too?
Yeah. What Denver Broncos offensive lineman didn't play multiple positions?
Touche.
I mean, they had a lot of offensive linemen that were playing out of position. I mean, tackles that were playing guards and guards that were playing tackle. It was it was a lot on their plate. But I believe you're right, Graham. I believe Elijah Wilkinson is a free agent. I'm just trying to remember if he's a restricted free agent or if he's a unrestricted free agent.
Exclusive rights.
Okay, so he's not really a free agent. He's just an exclusive rights free agent is sort of like a restricted free agent in some ways. But an exclusive rights free agent means that he's going to stay with the team, and only the Denver Broncos can negotiate a contract with him. That's what an exclusive rights free agent means.
All right.
Did I get that right? Did I get that right, Ty? And like for an exclusive rights free agent?
Think we lost Ty.
How you doing there, Ty?
Uh-oh.
But yeah, that's from what everything that I've heard is that an exclusive rights free agent is basically one where only that particular team that owns his rights can talk to him.
So he's a free agent, but he's not.
Right, he's a free agent,
basically,
but he's not.
yeah.
Ty, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, we lost you
There
there. We lost you there for a little bit.
Oh, sorry, but I'm trying to figure out. Like, I lost system, and then like I had to rush and like something called. I like do something real quick. Like it took like 15 seconds. Like I'm in the middle of a podcast. Like.
No, yeah. So I was trying to explain to Graham what an exclusive rights free agent was. Is that he's not really a free agent, but the only team that can talk with Elijah Wilkinson is that team that owns that he plays for.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Well, I mean, theoretically, he's a free agent just because he's an exclusive rights free agent. So, I mean, he's a free agent, just not a free agent, or a restricted free agent to where teams can contact that particular team or say that particular player, but they will sign into an offer sheet, and then it's just up to that team that had his rights to match it. So,
right, they could still choose to let him go.
I don't. They could choose to let Elijah Wilkinson go, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that would entail personally. But yeah, I mean, I just I don't know. I just keep coming back on and just switching and doing a lot of I don't know, flip-flopping like a politician. I feel like I'm just doing a lot of flip-flopping on where the Broncos are going to go. and where they're going to spend the most money. Because like you, Ty, here I am, I'm talking about the right tackle position, but at the same time, the linebacker position has a huge gap in it. So do they want to go out and get a Quan Alexander, CJ Mosley, or do they want to go out and get a number 2 corner? A guy like a Ronald Darby that might be a number 2 corner, but because of his injury history last year, it's and with how young he is, do they want to give him such an expensive contract? When it really should be given to Chris Harris Jr. I mean, and then you go and then you start looking at, the other offensive line positions, maybe the center position, or then you go and you look at, the tight end position, which, I mean, we haven't really talked a great deal of, but I mean, if you look at the tight end position, then you start factoring in, okay, what guys could potentially be of interest? Well, I mean, you start looking at guys like Deion Sims from Chicago, guys that did not have a relationship with Joe Flacco, but knew about Joe Flacco because it was in division. So guys like Tyler Eifert, Tyler Croft, CJ Uzuma, Max Williams, the tight end for Baltimore. So I think, so by Cincinnati standards, that to me is one of the more interesting ones as far as the tight end market that I think that people might forget, is that there wasn't really a relationship with Joe Flacco, but there was a relationship with Joe Flacco just because they played each other.
Yep, I agree with that.
Jesse James too.
The senator?
No.
I was gonna say, I think he's bald and he's like 55 years old. Yeah, Jesse James is another one too. I forgot him. So yeah, I mean, Jesse James, Tyler Croft, CJ Uzuma. I mean, I just think that there's some players out there in the tight end market that they can go to. I mean, Austin Safarian Jenkins was another one. The ageless Antonio Gates, who will never leave the Los Angeles Chargers. Luke Wilson. Yeah, there's. I'm. So where are you guys on the tight end market?
I'd be happy with Max Williams. Jared Cook. I'm not so sure about Tyler Eifert, though, because of his injuries.
Just sign him to a 1-year deal. Kind of like what Cincinnati did, but that's the thing. I mean, you sort of just hinge on, a lot of talent, and Tyler Eifert might be the most talented tight end in this free agent class.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
What about you, Ty?
I just wish Jake Butt didn't get hurt, to be honest. Wait, can you guys hear? You guys hear me, right?
Who's that?
Jake Butt.
Oh yeah, that guy from Michigan.
Yeah, that guy from Michigan. I wish he just didn't get hurt, because that would have solved a whole lot of issues at least. I feel like is Matt Lacoste is Matt Lacoste a free agent this year?
I believe he's a restricted free agent.
Okay, so at least it'll take some time to get to him.
So would be Brian Parker.
Matt Lacoste, exclusive rights.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so that's positive. Wait, Cameron, is Brian Parker your like long distance cousin by any chance?
Brian Parker's actually my uncle. I'm not kidding. Like, I have an uncle that is literally, his name is Brian Parker.
There you go.
So I always joke and I just say that, hey, it's my uncle on the field.
Your uncle's younger than you.
Yeah. Or as old as me.
Who knows?
I mean, as far as tight end goes, that might be the most trickiest position right now to cover, no matter if it's free agency or the draft, because there's just so many questions. Like, because of Matt Lacoste, Brian Parker, Jake Butt is able to come back from his. And there's still Jeff Harmon. I believe he is in unrestricted free agency, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know Denver has. Hold on. Excuse me. I know Denver has expressed interest in bringing Jeff Harmon back. So I guess the question is, I think that's what's going to come down to. Does John Elway give Jeff Harmon a new deal? If he does, then I think tight end is kind of set for them. If they decide to let him walk, then that's going to be another position of need going into March and April.
Well, so here's the thing. I don't know if it is set in stone if they bring Harmon back.
Exactly.
Just because of how deep it is with the tight end class. Because, one of the, you brought up Noah Fant, Graham, a while back. But if the Broncos decide to trade back, Noah Fant could very well be within that range at the end of the first round, that the Denver Broncos could look at a guy like a Noah Fant and get him to potentially put with Joe Flacco. So that option's on the table, I believe. And then you think to, the Texas A&M tight end, Jay Sternberger. I would love to draft TJ Hawkinson, but it's just not going to happen. Not with the range that he's going to be taken and not with the other pressing needs. So I absolutely would love to draft TJ Hawkinson and insert him into the roster, but it's just not going to happen.
Never say never, Graham. Never say never.
That's the moral of the story. Just never say never. But yeah, it's just tight end is just a weird position because it's just they could easily go get their new starter. That's the thing. I mean, are they going out and getting, say, a guy that's going to pair with Jake Butt? Or are they going to go out and get a guy that is going to supplant Jake Butt and be the number one tight end? That's what I don't know.
They're always going to be looking for upgrades, I'm sure. Whether or not they view it as a necessity to do that at the tight end position, that is up in the air.
There goes Graham again, predicting the future. Come on. Come on, Professor Xavier. Come on. You can do it.
There definitely are some guys that could be upgrades.
Graham, predict the future for me for a second.
All right.
Do you think the Denver Broncos win the Super Bowl within the next? Yeah. Do you think the Denver Broncos win the Super Bowl within the next 10 years?
If they can keep the same head coach and supporting cast.
Yes.
For an extended period of time, then they have a chance.
I can't believe you said 10 years time.
Hey, I want to say it will be a miracle if we can pass the Patriots in the amount of Super Bowl wins by the time I pass from the earth. But if I can see at least one more Super Bowl won by the Broncos before I pass, I will die happy.
I don't think you're alone. I really don't think you're alone.
I think my answer wasn't. Don't they call that like a political answer? think that's what that's called.
No, that's the by Thai standards, that's the future answer.
Yes, the feature.
So, but I didn't say yes or no though. I was just saying if they can have the same guys and not be switching every 3 years. That I think that's definitely one of the biggest keys.
Yeah, the keys is they can't have that amount of turnover again. And so
Right.
and so the keys that they just got to go and maybe pass the reins off to Rick Scangarello if they want to. Which say that name 10 times fast.
I'm not even gonna try that one.
Oh, come on, Ty, you can do it. You're a musical artist, aren't you?
I'm not Eminem style yet, so it's like maybe 5-7 years.
Cameron, you should try it.
Rick Scangarello, Rick Scangarello, Rick Scangarello, Rick Scangarello, Rick Scangarello, Rick Scangarello, Rick Scangarello.
You got to 7. That's pretty good.
That's without steroids, like Bryce Harper.
Hey. Yes, I gave him a lot of grief because he was with the Nationals, but I just realized someone tweeted the other day that when Bryce Harper ended up like finalizing a deal with the Phillies, like, oh, look at all you Phillies fans, like now you're gonna like be all goody with him, and that since you're like hating on him for the past X amount of years. I'm like, sadly, that's true. That's made true with about maybe 70, 75, 80% of Phillies fans.
Yeah, I hope that that he's worth the money. I'll just say it that way, because I think Nolan Arenado is a better player. Nothing.
Craig.
Let's find out when the Rockies and the Phillies play each other this year. Let's find that out then.
It's okay. The Rockies are going to go to the NLDS. They're going to sweep the Philadelphia Phillies.
Dude, don't even start with that. I was so mad about that. Like, we was like 20-something games. We were like down by 7 games. We ended up passing the Mets in order to win the division. Only 4 Rockies to sweep us. Are you kidding me?
See, Graham, it's my intention to just take and poke Ty as often as I can get.
I'm trying to find a cricket sound clip over here. Chirp, 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 chirp.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's with the Phillies, doesn't matter with the Sooners. He always tries to get to me.
See, I don't know. Like, I know how to play baseball, but I don't follow it, so I've got no clue.
I guarantee, Graham, if you were like Manny Corpus, you could still strike out Ryan Howard.
Shut it.
I could still do it now.
I don't know if I should stop.
Oh, keep going. Let me see what else you have.
Well, I mean, Nebraska did beat Oklahoma in the game of the century.
Yeah, that's true. That one I'll give you.
Well, because it happened. Just like the Rockies sweeping the Phillies.
Oh, but let's find out what happens in 2021 when the Huskers and the Sooners play each other again. Let's find out what happens then. We'll say make that 2021, 2022, 2029, and 2030, if I'm not mistaken.
Do we really play you guys in 2021?
I believe so. Let me double check that. I'm pretty sure it's 2021. Because I know my friend and I have been talking about, you should like come down to Oklahoma, and then come down to Nebraska and come to the games. Like, sure, why not? Future dates. Add 2 dates to the football series. It is going to be, 2021, 2022, and then 2029, 2030.
Oh, so that means that there's going to be a future score in there that says Nebraska won 31-17.
Oh, and so there's going to be a future score in there that's going to be what, 62-7 Oklahoma?
Wow, that's a bit much. Knowing the fact that Agent Martinez is going to be quarterbacking still in 2021, and Kyler Murray's gone.
I'm trying to go to 2021, 2020. That's for sure. And let's see what happens. No, oh my gosh, that's one of the things I wish I had gotten to do, because the first college I ever got to tour was the University of Oklahoma, and my plan was to go to that school, but we had to move to Pennsylvania. And I was like, I wanted to go so bad. So one of my biggest bucket list goals is to go to Oklahoma Sooners football game in Norman. I think that's gonna be the one I'm gonna go to, the Oklahoma Nebraska game in 2021.
Okay, that works. I hear crickets. Was that actually through the phone? Like a ringtone through the phone?
Yep.
See, the iPhone is a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, very beautiful thing.
Well, can you guys think of other positions that you guys feel you guys want to talk about? I mean,
can we talk about the wide receiver position, especially that now the fact that John Elway has been that they're going to exercise Emmanuel Sanders' option?
That basically, so you're saying that they're not going to make Graham the fifth wide receiver on the team?
Oh man,
Sorry, Graham.
I was really hoping they would.
No, yeah, I think that wide receiver is the weird position for me, like probably on the offensive side of the ball, just because it's one of those weird ones to where if you look at it, you look at the grand scheme of the entire offense between running back and wide receiver, both of those positions vastly overperformed in 2018 with the addition of Deshaun Hamilton and Cortland Sutton. Deshaun Hamilton didn't really play much till the latter part of the year, but did a really good job. And then Cortland Sutton, who has exceptional promise to be maybe one of the elite wide receivers in the National Football League, probably a lot faster than people know. And then you go and you look at the emergence of Tim Patrick as far as depth is concerned. I think that, and then you go and Ty, and you mentioned it, that they picked up Emmanuel Sanders' option. I think that it is very fascinating that the Denver Broncos chose to do that. Now, that's, should we say by air quotes, that doesn't mean it's a guarantee that Emmanuel Sanders will be here, because obviously there's been some trade buzz and everything. But it's my expectation that Emmanuel Sanders is going to be here. Just because, again, you don't mince words with Vic Fangio, and you don't say that he's going to be a major role in 2019 and then just ship him off to the next opportunity that you get. So I'm expecting Emmanuel Sanders here. But as far as a pressing need in free agency, it's definitely low on the totem pole. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So, Ty, you're the one that brought it up, and you get to talk about it.
Ooh, yeah. I hold the power now.
Can you predict the future?
Ooh. Not sure about that one. Let's see. As far as our receiver is concerned, I might go with someone that I talked about a few weeks ago. I think if we do decide to go wide receiver, we're going to make an interesting move and sign, drumroll please, Chris Hogan.
Did you hear that?
Yes, I did. Chris Hogan from the Patriots.
Ooh.
As either our slot guy or our fourth wide receiver.
So do you have trust in Tim Patrick?
I do have trust in Tim Patrick. I think Hogan and Patrick might split time a little bit. Until at least Patrick. Hold on. Let's rewind that for a second. Let me think about that for a second. So we got Sanders, Sutton, Hamilton, and then you're thinking, oh, okay, here we go. Bold prediction. Ready?
Let's hear it.
We carry 5 wide receivers. Sanders, Sutton, Hamilton, Patrick, Hogan. Boom. Let the explosions commence. And it's going to become the best wide receiver core in 2019. Book it.
Bye-bye, Jordan Taylor.
Yeah, I don't think he comes back just because he missed an entire year. And I think if we bring in Chris Hogan, that's going to spell the end of Jordan Taylor.
Honestly, in my opinion, the emergence of Tim Patrick last year spelled the departure of Jordan Taylor. That's just my opinion.
I totally agree.
Straight facts.
I just think that because Tim Patrick is 6'5", he's 215 pounds, he's the exact same size and athletic, and maybe a little bit better athleticism than Jordan Taylor. So I think he's a good player. I think Jordan Taylor's a good player. It's just that on that whole unfortunate injury situation. So I do think that, and I just don't see Jordan Taylor back as a Bronco next year.
He was great in 2016. I'll give him that much. It was just the injuries just kind of caught up to him a little bit.
The one interesting one that I will say, and a one wild card, I've been saying it the last few shows, and I got a name. I think Ty recognizes this name because I wrote about him a few years back. Now that Joe Flacco was in the mix at quarterback, I'm going to bring back a name from the past that was a former Broncos wide receiver and
I know who it is.
And Ravens wide receiver. That's not John Brown.
Marlon Brown.
Oh, I forgot about him. Ooh, that would be a very interesting pick right there, especially with Sanders, Hamilton, and Sutton. That would definitely be a very interesting pickup right there.
And knowing how Marlon Brown fared with Joe Flacco when he was a member of the Ravens, I think Marlon Brown's name is an interesting one. I don't know if it'll ever materialize, but the fact he was previously a Bronco. I think is a little bit interesting. And now they brought Joe Flacco in, and which, by the way, since we're on the topic of wide receivers, do you guys personally think that this whole health thing with John Brown? Because if there's probably one wide receiver that actually has probably true mutual interest in the Broncos and probably the Broncos and John Brown, does the health thing truly scare you?
Okay, question. Did they say he has the sickle cell trait, or does he actually have sickle cell?
From what I gather, Graham, you can help me on this one because you and I talked about it more. But from what I've gathered is that he doesn't. I don't know.
I think that's right. I don't think he has it.
I don't think he has it, but there's some aspect that is sickle cell. Does that sound right, Graham?
Yeah, there's an article from almost a year ago. John Brown of Baltimore Ravens says sickle cell isn't affecting his health. But then again, he hasn't. Actually, I'm not sure if he played in Denver yet, or.
Well, but if he did, it's just one game, but we're talking about 16 games versus, 16, 17 games versus one.
Right. October 21st, 2016. Arizona Cardinals receiver John Brown has sickle cell trait.
Okay, trait. Okay. So doesn't mean like it's in there, but it's not like impacting him by any means.
But so does that turn you off? Can I be honest? It does for me, and that's and because I just don't want to see a guy die in the field, and not to be extreme and everything. I just don't want to see it happen.
No, I agree with you, Graham. Like if there's like any, I mean, even if it was just the trait, like the fact that it could still be there and it could like, I'm not very familiar with sickle cell, so I can't really speak for anything. But like if exactly like what you said, like I would not want to see a player just. I'm pretty sure that happened to a college football player, not like sickle cell related, but like he just collapsed on the field and died. Like as a fan, I would not want to see that at all. That would like just be devastating to see.
And putting it in the John Brown's perspective, I wouldn't want to take that chance as him.
I wouldn't either, but I mean I get it. Flacco was your previous quarterback. You had a pretty good year with both Lamar Jackson and Joe Flacco, so I understand why you want to come here. I get the whole mutual interest of it, but I also don't. The turnoff is just the whole. I don't know, just the unfortunate health aspect of it.
Also, something to keep in mind though is that I'm sure he has gotten like a doctor to give him an opinion on that, and I'm sure that he would know if it's okay or not.
Oh,
So
I don't disagree with that. It's one of those and I think that there was an article done about it that says that it may not be as serious as we all think, but I don't know. It's just a scare. I just don't.
Hey, Cameron.
What?
The Philadelphia Phillies just posted a post on their Twitter as of like 10 minutes ago. We got him. So it's official. Bryce Harper is with the Phillies.
Okay. So, and I think they're going to introduce him tomorrow. From what I gathered. So and hopefully he'll come wearing a Washington Nationals jersey. Oh wait, that'd be weird.
That would be really weird.
Considering they're in division.
Cricket.
Did you see what number he wore?
I'm just kidding.
Did you see what right? Graham. Did you see what number he chose? Ty, did you see what number he chose?
No, I didn't see what number he chose.
Without looking it up.
I'm not looking it up. I'm just looking at like the tweet from the Phillies about that they got.
He's gonna be Babe Ruth's number.
Nah. No, he's not. No, seriously, is he gonna? Is that serious? I don't know these. Like, I don't really pay attention that much. So,
if you are going to buy a Philadelphia Phillies jersey, Bryce Harper, it looks like he will be wearing number 3.
Are you serious? And Siri just activated. Like, I said, "Are you serious?" And then Siri activated. Like what? Like Siri, I didn't even talk to you. What are you talking about? Like Siri, I'm not talking to you. Be quiet. I'm trying to figure this out. I need to see this. I gotta see if he's actually gonna wear number 3. Everyone will approve of Harper's jersey number. Oh my! Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Number 3. Oh, okay, that's why. It says much respect to Harper for not choosing number 34, which was worn by Roy Halladay. So that's why he's not going with 34.
Yeah, so he's gonna go wear Babe Ruth's number.
Why didn't MLB just retire that number completely? Like they did with Jackie Robinson. That's just so bizarre.
Because Jackie Robinson changed the color berry.
Oh, sure that. Yep. That's a good point.
And Jackie Robinson had a movie made about him, not Babe Ruth. Okay, that's a lie. John Good. There was a movie called The Babe, but 42 is better.
Oh yeah, 40. I like 42. Although, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you realize that Mariano Rivera was able to wear 42, even though that number was officially retired. So he was actually the last player to wear 42.
Yes. Yep. See, Graham really likes this conversation because we're talking about baseball, and baseball is so much better than football.
Chirp, 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 chirp.
Cricket noises.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
Wait, so you're admitting that baseball is better than football?
No.
I don't know. The silence kind of proved that he did admit to it. He didn't say anything. He can't say yes or no to it. So we could interpret it as him saying, yes, baseball is better than football.
Mm-hmm. See, Ty agrees.
Okay.
And I think I think the NHL is better than football too.
That's a little. That's pushing it a little bit.
I'm totally joking on that one, unless it's the mighty
face palm. Major
Quack,
face palm.
quack, 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 go
Yeah.
Ducks.
That's right.
Actually, speaking of which, I gotta see how they're doing real quick.
Go Avs.
They're losing. Avs are better.
Oh, I know Avs are better than Ducks right now. I can admit that. Oh yeah, Ducks losing 1-0 right now. Oh well. I'm not.
Let's see.
After that, 12 or 13, 14 game losing streak, I'm like, yeah, they're not gonna go do anything. I'm done.
Avs are losing to San Jose 1-0 after the first.
Yeah. Yeah, defensive game.
And we're losing to the Vegas Golden Knights 1-0 halfway through the second.
Team's overrated.
What, the Ducks?
The Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Even after their first year?
Yes.
No.
I'm just jealous. Well, all right. Have we eclipsed the end of the show?
It's up to you, host. Do you think we have?
I mean, unless there's something else to be talked about, like, Nebraska winning in 2021 or Bryce Harper tearing his ACL and tomorrow in the first game again in spring training, or
Dude, that would be the absolute worst if that happened.
Or him getting Tommy John surgery because of a throw that he made from right field to third in a play where Um, it actually didn't even get to third base. It actually got to second base because he was trying to impersonate Smalls from Sandlot. I mean, um, so I
You're killing me, Smalls.
okay, I gotta get your guys. What's your guys' best baseball movie of all time?
Oh boy. I gotta think about that one. Let's see. Oh, I have to go Sandlot. Sorry. I have to go.
What about
Although,
you? Yeah, Sandlot.
yeah, go Sandlot.
You were gonna say something though. You're gonna say something.
I was just thinking like all the baseball movies I've seen. Although the one movie I've never seen that's baseball related is Field of Dreams. I really want to see that one.
Mm-hmm. There is one baseball movie that goes completely underappreciated, and it's underrated. Um, I it is called Final Season, the final season. And if you guys ever have time, to those of you guys that are listening, and Ty and Graham, if you guys ever have time and you see it on the dial, please watch the final season. It is absolutely terrific. It's not my favorite baseball movie, but a hot take is it's in my top 5 as far as top 5 baseball movies. But my favorite baseball movie and my favorite sports movie of all time is Sandlot. So Graham, what's your favorite baseball movie? We'll just go and just do baseball and football and basketball and hockey
Um.
and hockey.
All right, just give me 1 second, and I'll tell you.
No, 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 no. You can't Google it. You can't. I'm kidding. Yes.
I'll throw something out that my second favorite baseball movie was 42.
That's a really good movie.
I literally know none.
That's a good movie. From what I've heard, I don't know none. That's a really
I heard it won an Academy Award like back in the 80s or something like that.
It's the best.
wow. That's I heard it was trying to compete with Eight Man Out.
Dramatic noise.
Yeah, Vader. That's what it sounded like. Um.
Wait.
So you really haven't seen a good deal of baseball movies, Graham?
Nope. I have no clue.
Well, just say Sandlot. Just okay. Just admit what's right, and what's right is Sandlot.
Yeah, Sandlot is. I watched a movie 10 out of 10 times.
Let's go with that.
And honestly, Graham, you really should see Sandlot. It is amazing.
Oh,
It transcends generations. Like it really does. It transcends generations. Favorite basketball movie?
So, I'll just stop you right there, though. When it comes to movies, I have no clue.
It's okay. It's okay. You can just agree with Ty and I.
wah, 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 wah.
Ooh,
Okay, I'm Googling now.
Ty with his Michael Winslow impersonation, with some sound effects.
Basketball movie. Let me think. I have to go Coach Carter for that one.
My favorite quotes from there.
Yeah.
The deepest fear quote.
Yes.
But that's not my favorite basketball movie. Glory Road is my favorite basketball. Actually, no. Hoosiers is my favorite basketball movie. Hoosiers.
That one I've never seen either. I need to watch
Oh
that.
my gosh, Ty.
I know. I need to catch up on my sports movies. Hey, I blame school for this one. Sorry.
Oh, I got one. I got one.
Did you just? Oh. Okay.
The Blind Side.
That's football, Graham.
I know. That's why I said it. Cause
That-
I already said I had no idea, so I just named a football movie.
So how appropriate that you found one that's called The Blind Side. Yeah, I gotta say Hoosiers for me on basketball, but I guess that sort of leads us to football. What's the favorite football movie? You guys better say what I think you guys are gonna say, because if you say the other one, I'm gonna beat you guys to a pulp.
Remember the Broncos.
That's
Hey,
that's the
Jordan
Super Bowl.
Jordan Taylor was in that movie.
He was.
What?
Yeah, Jordan Taylor was in that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Jordan Taylor was in Remember the Titans. You didn't know that?
How could you
Nope.
not know that, Graham? Seriously.
I'm Googling it. It could have been a different one.
Well,
So,
I mean, they say sunshine in the movie, so Jordan Taylor's in the movie.
wait, is it the actor name or character name?
Character name.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Ty, should
Oh
we
wait.
tell him?
Oh wait, there it is.
Ty, should we tell him?
No, let him figure it out.
We're gonna be here all day.
That's
Crickets.
yeah. We'll hear crickets for the next like 20 minutes.
So what's up then?
Okay, you can tell him.
Sunshine is a character in Remember the Titans, and it's not Jordan Taylor, but it's the long-standing joke with Jordan Taylor. That's why people, when they say sunshine, they say sunshine from Remember the Titans.
Is that why he's nicknamed that?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
He has the same long golden hair as the character from Remember the Titans. And instead of wide receiver, he played quarterback.
Learn something new every day.
But that is my favorite football movie.
Oh, can I give you my favorite football movie and my favorite football series?
It better be Blue Mountain State.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Dang it.
I'm kidding. What's your series?
Friday Night Lights, the series. I was okay with the movie, but I like the series a lot better than the movie.
I'm actually the opposite. I like the movie better, but it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite football movie. But I mean, it's good. It's really good. It's just I don't know I'm just more drawn to those movies like Remember the Titans and Glory Road and a bunch of others.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say Remember the Titans is my favorite football movie. But Friday Nights was my favorite movie. My favorite like television series.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, and now hockey. Sorry, Ty. It's not Mighty Ducks, the series. I'm sorry, but it's honestly one of the best sports movies ever. It depicts the 1980s Olympic team and their
Let me guess. Miracle.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Now, which Miracle are we talking about, though? Because I remember they're saying there was 2 versions of it.
The one where they beat the Russians.
Oh, was there only one? Because I could have sworn there was like 2 of them. Because I saw like one version on YouTube. Not on YouTube, on Netflix. I was like, wait, this can't be great.
Trust me, that's the one on Netflix.
Okay. The one with, what's his name?
Kurt Russell. That's
Kurt Russell, yeah. Kurt Russell,
yes. Yes.
yeah. Okay. Well, I hate to disappoint you, but I did watch Miracle, but nothing's going to beat the Mighty Ducks trilogy.
Okay. That's up to you. But I'm just saying, Miracle is the best hockey movie. And Graham, I swear if you have not watched Miracle, knowing you like hockey, I'm going to start questioning really what's wrong with you.
We will start questioning you as a Canadian. What's wrong with you?
Here we go.
Uh-oh. That's not a good sign.
Gotta go with Mighty Ducks.
Have you seen Mighty Ducks?
Ah, what? What?
Have you seen Mighty Ducks?
No.
That's like saying you've never had apple pie.
Yes. The thing is, you've never had an apple before.
I live in a cave.
All right. Your goal this weekend. Go out, find some way to watch the Mighty Ducks, D2 the Mighty Ducks, D3 the Mighty Ducks, watch them all in session, and you let us know what you think of it.
And honestly, Ty, I got a hot take for you on that Mighty Ducks series. The first one is not my favorite one.
Oh, no, I agree with that one.
D3 is my favorite.
I can see that. D2 was my favorite.
Yeah, D3 was mine. I liked more of the life lessons in the third one.
Yeah, I think for me it was D2, D3, and then the original one.
So, Graham, you have two homework assignments. You need to watch Sandlot, and you need to watch the entire D3, the Mighty Ducks trilogy. That's a lot of homework because it's like 7 to 8 hours of video homework.
Yep.
And if you don't get it done, then we'll take away your I gotta think of this. Your Twitter handle privileges.
No.
No. We're gonna take away. Are you ready for this? We're gonna take away Peyton M. Forehead.
Uh-oh. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, Graham. I didn't do it, Graham.
Oh, Ty. You. I have no words.
Get your homework done, son.
Ty didn't know.
You didn't know, Ty. You didn't know. You crossed that barrier that should not have been crossed. We still love you.
Oh, man.
Crossing barriers is what I do. That's 1989.
And this is live, too.
You're a rebel. You rebel.
Boo.
Ty, do you know what we're talking about now? Just say yes or no.
Yes, I know what we're talking about now.
Awesome.
No, I really don't know what you're talking about.
Don't do it again. I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, but really though, Graham, if you honestly, I would actually say you should probably, because I know you do like hockey, I would say watch Miracle first and foremost.
I gotta see if it's on.
It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
It is?
Yeah, it
Awesome.
should be on Netflix. And I shall double check. I'm pretty sure. No, I think they took it off. I was gonna say I think one of the Mighty Ducks was on Netflix, but I think they took that off recently.
I just saw Incredibles 2 last weekend for the first time. And it was good.
Oh, yep. Miracle is on there, but they do not have any of the Mighty Ducks movies on there.
Yeah, because Miracle's better than the Mighty Ducks, Ty.
Hey, watch it. Don't make me come across this computer and into Colorado, because I will fly back there, and we will have a problem.
Yeah, and then I'll take you to Raising Cane's and just shove the Raising Cane's down your throat.
Yes, delicious.
That sounded wrong. Just sorry, guys, that sounded wrong.
Oh well. Hey, their chicken strips and their fries are delicious.
Popeye
Instantly.
Popeyes is better.
No. Ty saw firsthand. It is. The biscuits are great. Biscuits are great from Popeyes, but it does not come at all close to Popeyes. Like it is. I mean, Raising Cane's is so much better than Popeyes.
Red Lobster.
No, I still say Raising Cane's. I like the Slim more.
Raising Cane's.
Looks like I gotta go to Denver then, because I've never had it.
Yeah, and you gotta come visit me because it's literally, as Ty found out, it's literally like 5 minutes away from me.
Yep.
Wow.
Fun times.
Yeah, Andrew drove all the way from Littleton, which is like 30 minutes. Another friend of the program, and writer over at Predominantly Orange and Dear Old Gold.
I think when I went to see you, I think I drove all the way from Dove Valley to go see you, because I was trying to visit the Broncos facility at that point. I was like, I can't get in. What is going on? Like, all right, I'm just gonna go to Cane's and just go eat some chicken and some fries. I'm done trying to get into the Broncos facility.
Now, because this is live, Ty, and you just said you're done trying to get into the Broncos facility, are you trying to say, for people that were listening, that you tried to hack into the Denver Broncos facility? or are you trying to say that you are a Bill Belichick clone and you try to steal the playbook of the Denver Broncos so that you can go back to the East Coast and you can go feed it to Robert Kraft and the Bill Belichick-less Patriots? Is that what you're telling me?
No. It was more like me wanting to see the Super Bowl trophies, and I couldn't see it, and I was really disappointed.
Well, I don't think that the Super Bowl trophies are there. I mean, they're probably actually in a different building at the Valley, but I don't think that they're in that building where like the team store, and if that's the place you're going to try and go into, I don't think that they're there.
Yeah, that's the place I was trying to go in there. I went into the store, but I couldn't go into like the facilities. Oh well.
Such is life.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time you can fly all the way to Canada, pick up Graham, and you guys can come here together.
Graham, just remind me to get my passport papers taken care of, and I'll go over there.
Awesome.
And then you gotta come over to Colorado, Graham, and teach me how to curl.
Oh yes.
Curling's easy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I do have a broom in my closet that I can just go grab and just learn how to curl.
The thing with curling, though, is some days you're gonna have good days, some days you're gonna have bad days.
What does that mean?
Like I think I understand what he means.
Like you're saying that it's more athletic than people realize.
No.
Yeah.
It's because the ice is not always going to be the same. You have to have a feel for it.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Sometimes, like, even like the bottom of the rock is going to be different. So you just have to throw a couple, and then adjust. It's not that hard.
Gotta make moves on the fly.
Well, I say with that, we can end the broadcast, gentlemen. What say you?
Up to you, host. You think we should end it?
I think we should end it. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
The end is near.
winter is coming, literally, for me. I'm getting snow tomorrow.
Well, winter end for us. Seriously.
Winter end for you guys. Thank you guys very much for tuning into this laughter edition as well as an informative edition of the Broncos, and just get to know each other more with Ty and Graham. It's always a pleasure having you guys be a part of the program. So thank you guys very much for hopping on and enjoying some Denver Broncos talk from both Ty Walden and Graham. And Graham, where can they follow you on Twitter?
Graham Tiedtke. That's my name. Try to spell it.
And Ty, where can they follow you?
Wait, I was just kidding, because that's pretty much impossible to spell. So it's Tiedtke. And with that, I'm done.
And Ty, where can they follow you?
I want to say we hopped on here like some kangaroos, but you can find me on Twitter as Ty Fly Guy. That is TyFlygye and the number 15. You can find me there on Twitter. Love to talk about Broncos stuff and whatever's on my mind. And that's all.
Wait. You said GYE?
Yeah, Ty Fly Guy. Guy is GYE.
Totally thought it was GUY.
Wow, did I say G? Wow. GUY. Excuse me. Let me try that again. Ty Fly Guy. TyFlygUY 15 is where you find me on Twitter.
He is Tylor Walden. I am Cameron Parker, as well as Graham Tiedtke.
No. You got it wrong again.
Right, as I'm ending the show. As I'm at Tiedtke. There we go. Graham Tiedtke. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. It was a blast. Having you guys on. And thank you guys very much. We'll have another edition of the Cameron Parker Show here in the next several hours. We got a podcast weekend. One of my good friends, Brooks Benson's going to be on the show. We're going to talk mostly baseball, talk a little bit about his driveline experience. And then obviously we're going to have, as you guys, Graham and Ty, obviously are following, I'm going to actually have the pleasure of having Mario Vitanzi try and schedule him on this weekend. So it's a podcast weekend, and as well as all the stuff that I do over at Locked On Broncos. So be sure to check out all of that here in the coming days. So it was a blast of a Cameron Parker Show episode. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.